Hello everybody, welcome back to more Snatcher on the Sega CD. So we're getting ready to get into the last turbo cycle in existence. We're down to this green one now. Me and Metal Gear were just making fun of Gillian for crashing our nice blue one that was brand new. This is a used green one, and it's a year prior model to the blue one that we had. So got a little bit of a lesser vehicle here. But me and Metal were talking and we exchanged opinions and decided on the same color blue that Metal Gear is, that we want to paint the car that blue. So it may not be exactly the blue we had, but it'll be somewhere close. So let's go in, or we can look at it. This spare turbo cycle has not been painted. Okay. But that does not affect its locomotive functions. The parking lot has become rather lonely. It appears quite safe. It has not been tampered with. Well, that's good. I do not read any motion. You and I are the only ones here. Okay. Let's do a save. We can't use the video phone anymore. We are just not allowed to use it. Metal Gear's tired of turning his screen on. Okay, enter. Alright, now boarding the turbo cycle. Off we go. We boarded the turbo cycle. Where would you like to go? Of course I know the answer to that question. The church.
I've input the map data on the Kremlin's locations. Lift off.
Lift off, so we are flying. We're not going down the road. Can't see anything out the windshield.
Now gaining altitude.
Yeah, we are flying.
Jamie, please be safe.
Gillian, please keep in mind that we're working with a strict time limit.
A 50-year debt in 3 hours. Snow!
Snow 9, to be specific. We've entered the Snow 9 region. Please put on your breathing filter. Direct inhalation is dangerous.
All right.
Radio transmissions will also be impossible from this point on. Understood? Now descending. Conversion to hover configuration complete. Gillian, we've arrived.
We've arrived at the church. Wow, now I know why they call it their Kremlin. Okay. Building. It's a very old church. It bears quite a resemblance to St. Basil's Cathedral. No doubt they thought the same thing. It appears to be snow, but it's actually Snow 9. Try to avoid inhaling any of it directly. It's surrounded by a large grove of tall cedar trees. This is likely to keep just about anybody away. Given the season, a few Christmas lights would really liven up the scene. The building is about 50 years old, but appears very well maintained. So where's the entrance? On the front side of the building, of course. This is definitely Snow 9. A sensor scan reveals that a tube liner tunnel passes directly underneath this area. Well, that's convenient. Well, that's no surprise. Looks like we've got the right place. I'm not picking up any large movement signals. What about small movement signals? The only sound is that of the wind. Okay, go inside.
All right, now opening the door.
What's wrong? Won't open?
I've scanned it, and it's not locked. It is probably rusted into place.
Not surprising. After all, our friends always go in and out through the basement.
Let's push it together.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Resident Evil style.
Got it?
What's this? It would appear to be some kind of chapel for the Snatchers. Are you telling me those things pray to whom? No doubt to their creator. That portrait on the wall is probably a representation of him. What portrait? You see a portrait? There's a portrait. Nice hair, buddy. Real nice. Let's get a close-up of this. Looks like a Final Fantasy character. This person is no doubt the one the Snatchers worship as their creator. This guy, isn't that random? Da-da-da-da-da. One moment, I'll compare the picture with my data on random. Either a Final Fantasy character or someone out of Castlevania. While the facial bone structure of the individual in the portrait is nearly identical to that of random, a positive identification is impossible as the picture is not a photograph. Maybe more Castlevania because Konami makes Castlevania. Maybe that's what I'm picking up on here. That just looks too much like him to be a coincidence. Well, the hair is completely different. It's like his long-lost evil brother of random. These are the chairs for worshippers. In the chapel, no doubt. This music is... creepy electronic stuff. Everything is nice and orderly. It's as if the pre-collapsed Soviet Union has been recreated here. Investigate portrait. Something is written on the painting. The creator, Modnar. Sounds like a Viking name. So this is Professor Modnar. The one the Snatcher was talking about, huh? It appears to be a portrait of that person. There are a number of I saw that Snatchers. I was going to say, there are a number of Snatchers on the surface. Scratches on the surface. They are almost certainly caused by the Snatchers. There you go. Well, Snatchers is always in capitals. Area. It's all very organized, almost inhumanly so. There's another room farther back. I see a door over there. Looks like it's partially opened. I'm not picking up any large movement signals. So have they already left for the summit? There's no litter or garbage anywhere. It's almost too clean. Just us and the wind. That's all I can hear. Continue back. Now moving into the back room. Bong. Snatchers. Look at them all. I'm not picking up any energy readings. They're all deactivated in some kind of suspension mode. So this is their warehouse, huh? There must be a few hundred of them back here. They continue all the way back. Still, this doesn't look like a factory to me. Well, they're just charging up. They're sleep chamber charge stations. Yeah, there's a bunch in here. And we do know they are, they said in that information we read in Gibson's house on the 5 1/4 floppy in that computer. We read, I think, that the Snatchers can take on adults only, adult males and adult females, but they cannot be children. Obviously can't be babies. They can't be children, and I guess they can't be teenagers either. And they can't be the elderly either. So, interesting. Snatcher. These are endostructures which have yet to have the artificial skin installed. The bone sizing devices and skull slits are all still set to the smallest size. I think that's very interesting. I don't remember because it's been so long since I've seen like Terminator 1 and Terminator 2, and I don't remember if there was anything mentioned about them being able to do that with their skulls. But I think that's cool that they can do that. Adjust them. Okay. I just wonder if in the movie The Terminator, if that was something that the machines could do. So their victims haven't been chosen yet. They're all just waiting their turn of who they're going to take the place of after they catch the real VIP person and kill them and stick them in that room where we found those other 4. At least that was one of their dumping areas. Then they get some artificial skin, which really hasn't been... They're not using... I don't think they're using the skin of the person they kill. They're just getting them out of the way so they can be replaced. They're using an artificial skin, from what I'm understanding in the story, unless I'm understanding it wrong. And I guess they're just able to make the endoskeletons match the facial bone structure of the person, and that's how the skin will look okay on it. I don't think they're actually harvesting the skin from the person they're killing. Okay, anyway. There seem to be a number of containers stacked up in the back of the room. None of these Snatchers appear damaged. All they need is their energy packs. The gender units have yet to be installed, however. Gender units. So they have functioning, yeah, see? It's like if they were... I don't know. So they have their own gender units installed. Okay, it's just, you know, something to sit there and think about for a minute. So they're just ready to go for whoever they need to replace with. Area. I do not see any tools or equipment for maintaining anything in the area. This room would appear to be just a storage area. There's some kind of label here. 23rd Siberian Investigation Force, or the SIF. La da 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 da. Siberian Investigative Force. It would appear that these Snatchers were brought to Neo Kobe from the Siberian Neutral Zone. It seems that the investigative forces have been responsible for shipping the Snatchers. In other words, the investigative force have been snatched, just like when they found us. I see. So the Siberian investigative forces bring the Snatchers out of Siberia and into storage here. I think you're right, Metal. And then the Snatchers just wait here in storage to be reactivated and adjusted after their victims are selected. A rather efficient system. I wonder where the actual snatching takes place. The back part of this room may hold the answer to that question. It's kind of funny, in a lot of different games, the name and the word Siberia keeps coming up. It's a real place over near Russia. Like it's on the border. Russia has territory over it anyway. I think. Pretty sure they do. I've actually played an old point-and-click adventure from the developers Microids called Siberia, but spelled with a Y instead of an I like it should be. You should go check that game out if you're interested in another classic 90s point-and-click. Will advise you if you watch that playthrough, you'll have to probably turn your volume up a little higher than usual. That's an older video, and I didn't have my audio settings properly locked in yet. So those older videos, which is a lot of them at this point in time, have lower audio levels. I made a video about this on my channel. You can find it if you look for it on my channel. On the home page, I have an info and shorts playlist area, and you'll find it in that playlist. But it talks about it. At this point, I've already released a game on my channel called White Day, Labyrinth Named School, the remake. And that was when I really fixed my audio in a good way. Even at the time of recording this video, I'm still using a older mic. I have plans to replace it very soon. But I've definitely made my audio a lot louder in this video and since the White Day playthrough release. Anyway, I'm just rambling here. Let's get back to the game. I go off on tangents sometimes. You'll have to forgive me for that. They almost look as if they could spring to life any moment. If this many Snatchers were to all start moving at the same time, there is little we could do, yet you'd be screwed. Okay, we've done all this. So we can just proceed. Continue back is not go back where you came from, but continue to the back of the room. So yeah, I do ramble sometimes. I wouldn't say I'm a very social person in real life. I'm not. I'm an introvert for sure, and generally a pretty shy person. I think as I've gotten older, I've gotten a little less reserved than I was, but I'm not very talkative, social, so this is where I kind of get that out, I guess. And as time gone on doing this, I've gotten more comfortable in speaking, at least on the microphone, which has been something I would say that has held me back over the years from doing the YouTube thing sooner. It's one reason you don't really see me on webcam up to this point. I'm not really ready to take that leap or think it's entirely necessary to do so, but knowing that my channel was going to be talked in the gameplay, I wanted narration, and that the other part of my channel was going to be educational and technical. I just had to get over the hurdle of, I'm going to have to talk and talk at length, so I'm still nervous about it when I talk to you guys in these gameplay videos. I'm less nervous when I do the technical part because it's not a thing I'm doing where I'm also playing and having to perform well in the game that I'm recording. And it's all really scripted. When I do those introduction, config and tech and modding videos that I do, that's all scripted. I'm reading from a text document in one way or another, but when I talk in these gameplay videos, it's just, you're just getting the crazy side of Penumbra, talking to you. Are you ready, Gillian? Now heading for the room farther back. So sometimes I get off tangents and ramble, but it's my channel. I'm just being me. I'm not playing a character. Wow. At least the bubbles are covering the good part. The Snatchers. Culturing room. Maybe they're just taking a bubble bath, bro. These are the ones that got some skin on them. That's a female on the left there, as you can see. I think it's fairly noticeable. I'm not going to blur it. I'm going to try to be a little, edgy and on the cuff and see if I can get past YouTube here. That's definitely a female, though, on the front left. The mechanism is operating. Oh yeah, the mechanisms are operating. Look at front left cylinder. Gillian, there are Snatchers with their artificial skin already installed here. Yeah, and they're getting bubble baths. I wish I had a machine like that. You could go to sleep and get a vertical standing bubble bath. Snatch process. Yeah, let's talk about that.
This is where they fuse the artificial skin onto the Snatcher's endostructure. First, they adjust the size of the still skinless Snatcher to the size of the individual who is to be snatched. The Snatcher's overall shape and size can be adjusted by expansion or contraction of sizing rods. Their sex is controlled by gender units, which are installed at this point. Then, the face is modified to match the intended victim by adjusting the size of the upper and lower jaw, cheekbones, temporal bones, and tooth alignment.
Just like Gibson said, that means there are limits to the size of the people that they can snatch.
That's right. The limits of the mechanism mean that they can't snatch children, the elderly, or people who are very tall or heavy. And this is where the artificial muscle's attached.
Is it organic?
No. It appears to be coated with a type of plastic gel capable of mechanical response. Like human muscles, it creates mechanical energy through chemical reactions. And this is where the artificial skin is attached. In order to prevent the synthetic cells, developed using biotechnological protein design techniques, from rejecting the inorganic material below, they attach it gradually over a number of days.
And this is the stuff that gets cancer if they stay out in the sun too long.
Finally, they attach body and scalp hair. The process involves transplant of synthetic hair follicles as well, so the hair will grow back if it's lost.
What about scars or birthmarks?
It would appear that they make those adjustments at this point in the process, as they would for wrinkles to simulate age.
Okay. So they can turn you into like Kardashian clones here, you know, whatever you want. It's quite the process. Okay, I do see like the middle on the right side, the third from the front is just a skeleton, I think. The rest of these have skin. That's cool. I was thinking another cool game to make would be like a movie on the Matrix based on like the first movie, but like in this style, like be able to play the first Matrix movie in a game like the Snatcher. That would be freaking awesome. A computer terminal is installed on each preservation cylinder. These units are nearly ready to perform a complete snatch. Can't have that. There are tubes and wires running all over the place. Please watch your step. These terminals must all be connected to a host computer which monitors conditions inside each of the cylinders. Okay. There's just so many good movies, anime stuff, other games, you know, that have like a 3D world that you could attach to this kind of art style and gameplay that would really be a cool offshoot for a series. Even Resident Evil, I mean, Silent Hill, you know, this is how you do it. You know, if you want to do something like this is how you do it. These cylinders are used to culture the Snatcher's artificial skin. Endostructures are submerged within them. It appears that weak ultraviolet rays are being projected from above. This really advanced way beyond anything we saw at Queen's Hospital. The whole area is protected as a clean room. There is a door at the far end of the room. It's locked, but I should be able to open it from this side. The power is on. Look at this, Gillian. The date of people to be snatched is all being neatly processed.
So this is where the whole thing begins. The endostructures arrive here from the Kremlin. Then they convert them into copies of their victims. And finally, they head out into the city using the old subway system.
With artificial skin maintenance being handled at Queen's Hospital.
But who's behind all this?
Gillian, look at this. There are some finished Snatchers over here.
Get a load of this. The U.S. president, The prime ministers of Japan and the UK.
Gillian, you're in here too.
Figures. They were looking to snatch every VIP at the summit.
And the last junker, you. It definitely looks like they plan on moving out beyond Neo-Kobe.
If they were to snatch every major world leader, they'd practically be able to control the planet. Still, that's odd. With their fluid skin, pulling something off like that would really be difficult.
Chin said they had found the key to developing a perfect artificial skin. Maybe they've already produced it.
No idea. But the number of snatchers here makes it clear that they're up to something new.
Gillian, this is definitely their nest. We should destroy everything.
Not yet. Not until we found Jamie. Metal, how much time do we have left?
The summit should have begun by now. We don't have much time. And once our legal privileges are suspended, I won't be able to help. In fact, I'll be forced to restrain you.
I know. If the military wants to avoid nukes and goes for a surgical strike on this facility, what would they likely use?
Probably a phased particle beam from one of the attack satellites.
A phased particle beam, huh? That'll wipe this complex right off the map.
Everything, including the soil, will simply evaporate. The attack will leave just a large crater.
Metal, can you convince them to give me another hour? Even 30 minutes will help.
Understood. I'll try my best.
And I'll try to find and rescue Jamie in that time.
I can't transmit here due to interference from the Snow 9. I'll have to leave the area and then send the message.
All right. Do it, Metal.
Gillian, don't forget. 30 minutes. You must get out before then.
I understand.
Gillian, I'm sorry I couldn't help you better.
Don't worry about it. I'll be able to move faster by myself anyway. 30 minutes should be plenty. Go, Metal!
Yes, sir. Don't forget, 30 minutes!
$30. Oh, this is gonna be tight. That room's the only place left to check. Let's take a look.
Uh-oh. Thought we were done shooting, guess not. Glad you don't have to reload, 'cause that would be a problem. This is probably the last hard part. How many are there? Wow. I died. Yep. Try it again. This is the last hoorah. This part's really difficult, actually.
Whew. I wasn't ready for that. They almost got me. All right, Let's open the next door.
Damn, that was hard. I think that was a perfect. I don't think I got hit at all that time.
Doesn't look like there's anything here. Whoa!
Again. Jeez.
Jeez.
Yeah.
These guys are tough.
Hell yeah, they are.
Didn't exactly expect them to welcome me with open arms. Okay, let's try this next door.
Let's go home. I want to go home now. Let's go see Jamie. Can we do that? You look okay. Okay.
Jamie.
Oh, here we are.
You all right?
Gillian, you came for me.
Are you hurt?
No, they won't lay a finger on me. Not until the new artificial skin is completed anyway.
Artificial skin research? You?
Gillian, I've got my memory back. All of it.
What happened? Tell me, Jamie.
They said they'd kill him. They said they'd kill Harry. They forced me. I had to help them with the skin development. They said I had to help them because the professor was ill. Wasn't getting any better. Gillian, the engineer Harry, he's our son. He's been living on his own now for 50 years.
Jamie, I'm afraid that Harry's...
There was nothing I could do. They forced me. But I can't do it anymore.
Jamie!
The professor, he just died. He was over 100.
The professor? What? This old man?
Don't you remember? It's Professor Modner. Professor Petrovich Modner.
What? This old man is Modner?
He's been confined here for 3 years now, just to develop the Snatcher's artificial skin. Terrible. Doing that to your own father.
Whose father? Jamie, I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
You really can't remember, can you?
Jamie, tell me. Tell me who I am. What were we doing at the Kremlin?
Are you sure you really want me to, Gillian? It's all so awful, but if you must know, I'll tell you. Try to remain calm, okay? 56 years ago, you and I were involved in a top-secret Soviet project. It was still during the time of the Cold War. The gulf between East and West was as wide as ever. Everybody was worried about nukes. At that point, the world's armies were at their largest ever. Leaders still believed that a strong military meant a strong nation. There were rumors that there would be an agreement to end the production of nuclear weapons. On the other hand, the major powers like the US began to get involved in a space weapons race. But not the Soviets. The conservative despots in the Kremlin had another, completely different idea for gaining military superiority. A horrible plan, something no one else would think of. At that time, the countries of the communist bloc were facing an economic crisis. Popular movements pushing for democracy were springing up all over. Communism itself was facing extinction. Facing pressure from the reformers, the Kremlin began to panic. And that's when that horrible, childish plan was launched.
And that was the Snatcher project. Replace your enemy's leaders with puppets of your own. Then you control their governments, their economies, take over a country from the inside out.
That's right, Gillian. And to develop these robots, they assembled some of the most brilliant scientific minds from around the world. Some of them were even brought in against their will. At the crux of that development effort was a group called the Frankenstein Project Team. You and I were members of that team, Gillian. It was a 4-person team led by the late Professor Modner here. The robotics expert was Professor Modner himself. His son, Elijah Modner, handled genetics and microbiology. For nanobiology and picobiology, myself. And for behavioral science and psychology, you, Gillian. Early development was carried out at a lab in Novosibirsk, but was later moved to a secret facility under the Kremlin. At the time, the Glasnost and Perestroika movements were gaining momentum, and they rightly feared for the existence of the program if it should become known. But some of the reformers did learn of the project, and they conspired with the US to block it. Gillian, you were a CIA special agent sent by the United States to infiltrate and sabotage the project.
I was CIA?
Yes, and the government knows that. That's why you were assigned to the Junker team.
What? Who am I?
Work on the project continued to go smoothly. But then, on June 6, 1996, there was that accident. A mysterious explosion at the Chernobyl facility spread a bacterial weapon that was under development there into the atmosphere, destroying the country and the project. Gillian, was it you? Did you set off that explosion?
What? You can't be serious. You think I caused the catastrophe?
Somehow, during the confusion, Professor Modner and our son Harry managed to get picked up by American agents. But we couldn't get out in time, you and I and Elijah. In a shelter below the Kremlin, we entered a cryogenic sleep. Our plan was to sleep there until the toxic effects of the bacteria were safely passed.
And then 48 years later, 3 years ago, we were discovered by the 17th Special Investigative Force.
Yes, but when they found us, Elijah's pod was already empty.
Elijah Modner? That guy whose picture was in the church? The one that looks like Random?
That's right, Elijah is alive. Elijah is here and working on the Snatchers.
Why don't you let me finish your little story?
Who's there?
It's been a while, hasn't it, Jamie? Ah, yes. And Gillian. It's me, Jamie.
Elijah? Is that really you?
Random? No, not quite.
So you remember me, do you? I am Elijah Modnar, the only son of Professor Petrovich Modnar. I'm afraid I've grown somewhat old and feeble since we last met, however.
Elijah, why are you doing this? Your father, Professor Modner, he passed away a few minutes ago.
What? My father is dead?
Elijah, what happened to you? The Elijah I knew could never do anything like this.
I've changed, Jamie. These 40 years have changed me.
I can't believe it. What happened to you?
What happened to me? Jamie, do I actually have to explain it to you? Jamie, it's you. Your beauty is the cause of all that has come to pass here. 57 years ago, I was obsessed. With my research, yes. And with you, Jamie. At the time, I was still young, having just graduated with my genetic engineering degree. My father's connections got me on the team, and there, I met you. You were working as my father's assistant. Your beauty, your smile, I was stricken. I saw something in you that I never felt with women of my own country. You warmed my cold, young heart, Jamie. You opened me up, and I couldn't stop my feelings.
Elijah.
Oh, I was so happy. The political situation was crumbling around us, but every day was a joy. I gained my father's trust, and with you there watching over me, I was able to work as hard as I ever have on the project. However, my happiness did not last for long. Gillian, it was you. You showed up and all was ruined. You arrived and joined our project team. Far from home, Jamie found comfort in a man from the same land. Your relationship grew quickly, and all I could do was stand by and watch. Jamie and Gillian fell in love, were joined, and even had a child.
Harry.
Even then, my feelings for you only grew stronger. Worried about me, my father tried to have me removed from the project, but I persisted. Jamie, I always wanted to be near you. And then, the democratic movements that had consumed the rest of the Eastern Bloc spread to our country as well. The Cold War was over. The hardliners who had pushed for its development were stripped of power and the project was cancelled. The reformers, trying to cover up the existence of such a crazed project, ordered that all materials related to it be destroyed and that we stand trial for our actions. Jamie and Gillian were to be returned to their homeland. That's about the time that I learned that you, Gillian, that you were a CIA agent, and that you were trying to pass documents on our research to your military. The country had sold us out. I'm no politician. I couldn't care less about what happened to the country. All I cared about was my research and Jamie. And I was to lose all of that, everything. For someone so young, you cannot understand how great of a shock that was.
Elijah.
That is when I decided, I swore I would see that secret crazed project through to the end. At the time, the bioroids were 80% finished. The main part, their endostructure, was essentially completed. But we still were having trouble with the artificial skin, the area that Jamie and I were assigned to. We called it artificial skin, but there was of course no need to duplicate T lymphocytes, Langerhans cells, or endocrine cells. All we needed was keratinized cells and melanocytes to provide the pigment. With the artificial protein development techniques that we had in those days, full-scale synthetic cell development was very difficult. Research like this took months, years. The original project called for us to simultaneously snatch an entire country. In other words, a whole nation, or an entire city had to be snatched over the course of one night. For that reason, a powerful biological agent, which could quickly and effectively kill the population of the country, was being simultaneously developed.
Lucifer Alpha.
That's right. A type RAO11 virus which another team was developing. For someone like myself, who was closely involved in the project, blowing up the lab was quite a simple task.
My God, Elijah, do you know what you're saying? That explosion killed half the world's population.
I moved all the materials and records essential to the Bioroid project into the shelter and executed my plan on June 6th. After sealing off the lab, I brought the two of you with me to the underground shelter, and we entered a cryogenic sleep. But not before I programmed an atmospheric research satellite to transmit a wake signal when the danger from Lucifer Alpha had passed.
And 10 years later, Lucifer Alpha naturally mutated into a non-toxic form.
But the automatic revival system failed to work.
Oh no, it worked. Just as planned. It revived me 10 years later. A little sooner than the two of you, of course.
But even though you sealed the lab with the explosion and everything, you should have been exposed. Why weren't you?
Oh, I was. But by that time, the vaccine L Angels had already been developed.
So everything went just as you planned it then?
Yes, up until that point. But my real struggle was yet to come. My original plan was to revive Jamie as well, and for the two of us to finish the development of the bioroids. You, Gillian, you were to stay asleep forever. But I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Not after looking at Jamie's peaceful face there in the pod. Besides, I could never have convinced her to work with me on the project anyway. I knew the time was not yet right, so I changed the timers of your pods to permanent on.
How? How could you do such a thing?
And so for the next 40 years, I worked alone in that cold and lonely room under the Kremlin, trying to complete the artificial skin for the Snatchers. For days and days, no one would visit me. I never saw the sun or felt the changing of the seasons. Still, I always had Jamie by my side. You were always there for me to talk to. Just you and I for 40 years in that dark cellar.
Oh, you poor, poor man.
And then, 3 years ago, my research was finally completed. First, I snatched the Siberian Special Investigative Forces to establish a transport route for the Snatchers. And then, to test the effect of large-scale snatch operations, I chose Neokobe City to be my experimental sample. Neokobe is cut off from the surrounding areas, a sort of miniature country in itself, making it a perfect test site. And since it's a melting pot of various races, it would also allow me to gather extensive data on Snatcher modification and operational techniques. In addition, the element of suspicion or mistrust, which runs deep in Japanese culture, was another reason I chose this site.
But your test revealed a critical flaw in your machine's artificial skin.
Yes, quite unexpected, I'm afraid. All my research for 40 years. I gathered data and worked day and night to find a solution, but nothing seemed to work.
So that's why you decided to bring Professor Modner here, right?
That's correct. I discovered my father in one of the government's hospitals. He was old, but still very sound of mind. Naturally, he would not cooperate with me.
Of course not. He'd never become involved in something like that.
So, unable to receive his assistance, I decided that I had to have yours. But a mistake on my part allowed both you and Gillian to be taken into custody by the authorities first.
Just what are you trying to accomplish, Elijah? You must know you can never get Jamie back.
I'm only interested in discovering what I can of the human animal. In the past, it was because of Jamie. My motive is different now.
It sounds like you're just suffering from the wild arrogance that corrupts so many scientists.
Humans are such weak creatures. No matter how much they trust one another, the tiniest speck of suspicion can destroy it all. Look at how the Snatcher problem has caused such wild unrest. No matter how much science advances or how high we set our ideals, we eventually begin to suspect each other, to hate each other, and then to kill each other. The Snatchers are nothing more than a tool for bringing out this reaction. I am simply using the Snatchers to elicit the true nature of the human animal. I think this experiment has shown me the limits of human society. I sincerely doubt it will be able to reach any greater level of prosperity on its own. If human society ever hopes to reach greater heights, what is needed is an absolute leader, a firm ruler who isn't affected by these trivial episodes of mistrust.
You're crazy if you think people would ever obey Snatchers.
Of course they wouldn't. But if they don't know, they cannot object. There has been a time in every age that the people have longed for a god to lead them. As long as they give the people no reason to suspect them, then they can easily become their gods, indeed, a new race of super beings. We are almost there. Once we perfect the artificial skin, Snatchers will transcend man to become this planet's true human beings.
But you'll never get your perfect skin now. Professor Modner is dead.
I no longer have any use for my father. I have a sample of the new skin he developed. Once I've analyzed it, I'll be able to make as much as I need. Or if need be, we could simply culture the keratinized cells, epithelial cells, and melanocytes in the quantities that we need.
What are you talking about? How could you get a sample of perfected artificial skin?
Why don't you take a look at this? found this in the rubble of Queen's Hospital.
Alright guys, we will stop this video right here. There's more to it here, but my timer has gone off on me already, and I don't want to keep recording. So we'll stop here, and in the next video we'll pick right back up at this point. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next part. Bye.